Section 3.1, example 4 says, what is the slope of the line? So these are two special cases. You can see that we have a perfect horizontal line and a perfectly vertical line. They do give us 2 points. I'm going to show you 3 different ways that we can figure out the answer to these two. So for part A, we can start by using the slope formula. So I put it up in the corner. Again, we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I just highlighted them this time. I didn't actually label them. But again, you could start with either point. So if we plug in y2, we get 2 minus y1 is also 2 over x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is negative 3. 2 minus 2 gives us 0. Minus a negative becomes a plus, so 2 plus 3 is 5. 0 divided by anything is 0, so we end up with an answer of 0. We're going to try the same thing over here on the right. So for part B, we're just going to plug in these 2 points. This time we have y2 is negative 2 minus y1 is 1 over x2, which is also negative 2, minus x1, which again is negative 2. So negative 2 minus 1 gives us negative 3. Negative times a negative gives us a positive, so negative 2 plus 2 gives us 0. So now we have negative 3 over 0. Very similar to our 0 over 3. However, we aren't allowed to divide by 0. Go ahead and try it on a calculator, see what happens. It's not going to work. We actually call this undefined. Another way of saying undefined is no slope. We say that there is no slope because there is no number that is actually equal to negative 3 over 0. Now, on Math Excel and in your book, you won't see it say no slope. It'll always say undefined, but no slope and undefined mean the same thing. Now, another way to do these problems is to use the bubbles on the graph. So rise over run, you can notice right here we have no rise. So we didn't go up or down, we just went sideways. So if you didn't go up or down, your rise is going to be 0. And then of course your run was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is how we would get 0 over 5 or 0. Over here we do have a rise, so you could start from either point. So we can say we start up here and we go 1, 2, 3 down, negative 3. But we didn't go sideways, right? There's no run, so that would be a 0. So negative 3 over 0, we'd get the same answer, undefined, no slope. Now the final way that you can solve these only works for these two types of lines. So this is a little shortcut that only works if you have a horizontal or vertical line, and it kind of helps you remember which one is 0 and which one's no slope, because that's a little tough to remember if you didn't want to do the steps. So here's a shortcut. So if you have a horizontal line, you can make a big Z and spell 0, which goes with our 0 slope. If you have a vertical line, you can make an N to spell no, for no slope. Technically, you could also put undefined and just put the U in front and then put the N, but it works a little easier with no. So you'll just have to remember that no slope goes with undefined. Now you don't have to use these shortcuts. This is just a visual way to remember the answers that another teacher showed to me one year, and I thought it was really cool, so I wanted to share that with you. The other two methods work totally fine. You can use the bubbles, you can just plug in the points. The work for these is written out on the next slide using the points for both part A and part B. And now I would like you to try number 7. So find the slope of this line. We have one final chart that I want to go over with you. The following summarizes what you have learned about slopes. So we have all the different possibilities in this one chart on page 171. A line with a positive slope slants upward from left to right. So just like when you read a book, we go from left to right. So if you're going up, that's positive. If your line slants down from left to right, that would be a negative slope. If you have a vertical line, that is undefined. If you have a horizontal line, that's a slope of 0.